Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about special senses, the ear, and in particular this video is about structures of the ear. So I have printed out this picture from your textbook and you can see that there's three different colors on here, and I'll start with the same color out here. These colors correspond to the three different areas of the ear. The outside area is the outer ear. And it has just two structures that you have to worry about. The first one is called the pinna, and that's the part that you think of when you think of someone's ear. It has a series of sort of swirls and whorls in it that are made from the cartilage of the ear. And the job of the pinna is actually to funnel sound waves into the auditory canal. So sound waves are coming in, and sound waves travel kind of like this. And once they get close to the ear, they're going to get caught in these whorls, and that will all be funneled into the auditory canal. The sound waves will travel down the auditory canal until they get to the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is the border between the outer ear and the middle ear. So in here, it's sort of in pink, is the middle ear. And all of this is within an open area within the temporal bone. So remember, back to bones, we learned about the external auditory meatus. That would be this hole that's going through the temporal bone. So this picture is very much enlarged. So the sound waves come in and they go through the auditory canal and they hit against the tympanic membrane, which makes it vibrate back and forth. On the other side of the tympanic membrane, there's no real opening here. So these two chambers are not open to one another, but we have three tiny little bones. The first one is called the malleus. The second one here is called the incus. And the last one down here is called the stapes. And these are very, very small bones. These are actually the smallest bones in your body. Another structure in the middle ear is right here. This is called the auditory tube. And it connects the middle ear to the pharynx at the back of the nose and the mouth. And the function of this tube is to help equalize pressure. For example, if you go up into an airplane and the pressure goes up or down, it's going to cause pressure out here. Since the outer ear and middle ear are not open to one another, it can actually push on this tympanic membrane and it can cause quite a bit of pain. But if you open your mouth up, it will cause this auditory tube to open and help to equalize the pressure on one side and the other side of the tympanic membrane. Now, one of the issues that kids can have with the auditory tube, sometimes it's also called the Eustachian tube. One of the problems that kids can have with this is that when they're very small and the face is sort of shorter, this auditory tube will be at much less of an angle. It's really quite horizontal. And the back of the nose and the back of the mouth have a lot of bacteria and pathogens and things in them. And because this auditory tube is short at a horizontal angle, those bacteria can sometimes get up back in here and cause inflammation and edema. And all of that inflammation and edema puts pressure behind the tympanic membrane and actually pushes it out. And that can be quite painful. That is the function of the auditory tube, is to equalize pressure. The last structure we need to talk about in the middle ear is located right here. It's underneath the stapes. And that is called the oval window. And the oval window is really just the opening to the inner ear. It's a piece of tissue that the stapes is going to push on. So remember, we talked about the sound waves coming into the auditory canal, coming down the auditory canal and pushing on the tympanic membrane. When that happens, the tympanic membrane is sitting right next to the malleus, and it's going to cause the malleus to move. And the malleus is sitting right next to the incus, and the malleus is going to push on the incus, and the incus is going to push on the stapes, and the stapes is going to push on the oval window. That will transmit this sound wave into a mechanical wave of moving back and forth, and the stapes is going to push on the oval window, and we're going to transmit those mechanical waves into the inner ear. So for the inner ear, you can see that here in yellow, and I hope you can see my pen. The inner ear is a shared space between two systems. So in the inner ear, we're talking about hearing, and we're also talking about equilibrium and balance. So they share a space, but they don't share structures. The cochlea, right here, this thing that looks like a snail, its function is to help you hear. And this structure over here with these sort of loops of bone, those are called the semicircular canals. The semicircular canals, their function is to help you in something called rotational equilibrium. This is spinning or moving your head around in a circle in space. The semicircular canals will help you pick up that motion. We also have one more space in here, right there. That's called the vestibule. And the vestibule's job is to help you detect gravitational equilibrium. And gravitational equilibrium means this will help you determine whether you're moving up or down or backwards and forwards. So when you're in a car and you start to accelerate, you can feel it because of the vestibule. If you're in an elevator and you're moving up or down in the elevator, you can feel it because of the vestibule. However, if you're spinning in circles, that would be the semicircular canals that are going to help you detect it. So all three of these areas share this space within the temporal bone, and they even share the nerve that's going to be taking all of the inputs, all of the action potentials back to the brain. This is cranial nerve number 8, vestibulocochlear nerve. So they share the nerve, they share the space, but they're not dependent upon one another. For example, you can have great hearing and have really terrible equilibrium. Or you can be very, very, very stable and know exactly where your body is in space, but you might not be able to hear very well. So these are the structures of the outer, middle, and inner ear. Come on back and we're going to talk about the physiology of hearing in the next video.